Hi, Megan. How are you?
Hey, Devon, how are you doing? I'm not too bad.
I am excited. We're in the midst of round one of playoffs, and I've been having fun. I stayed up
Yeah,
really late last night to watch Dallas Avs, and I was happy with the outcome.
you
So
can't beat playoff hockey. It's just if you're not watching, you're just missing out. That's for sure.
I know it's so fun. And I convinced you to do a bracket.
You did.
So
I was
we have
sad.
that.
I
I
don't
know.
like to make such commitment.
I know. But since it's literally committing to nothing, I think you'll be okay. It's not
No
a high
one's gonna
stakes
know.
bracket. I may just get you like a little present at the end just for
Like
participation. So
you did it. Yes, it'll be my first like participation ribbon. Look, you did it.
we are millennials. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, it's been fun.
Yes,
So today's episode, though, is what really has me excited because
for
we're
sure.
talking about one of our favorite hobbies, which is collecting. And when we say collecting, we mean game worn jerseys and game used authentic pieces that are representative of a moment in the hockey world. A game we loved, a team that we follow, a player that we like, and we have some big collections, but you take the cake. You
I
have
mean, I feel like I'm very small time compared to people out there. I am doing the best I can, but yeah, I do try. I've got some things going on. So, yeah,
you're
I mean, do you
humble.
mm, I don't know.
You're
I just
humble.
don't.
You're I know there's people
Does
out there
anyone
who
want any
have
of this
like
stuff? It's just me.
but that's actually a great point. People who collect authentics do so because there's a piece that speaks to them, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you don't have to have Patrick Kane's rookie year pieces or the Russian five from the Red Wings. Like if you have something that spoke to you and it brings up a memory of a hockey experience that you loved, then it's all meaningful. And so I always
Definitely.
love walking through your house and going through and finding new things and asking you about them. So today we're going to talk with a dear friend who is also a podcast host, who is sort of the expert in all things hockey collecting. But before we introduce him, I'm dying. Megan, tell us how you got into hockey collecting.
So I think it was always something I was interested once I moved here. I understood that the Wings had a authentic game worn program. I wanted to buy the things. As a season ticket holder, I would go to the equipment sale, and I never really got super hardcore into it until there was Evgeny Svechnikov, and then fast forward, Evgeny Svechnikov leaves. That's when I really started collecting. But my true first game worn piece, I think, is probably pretty surprising. He was surprised by it too. My very first game worn jersey was a training camp practice jersey of Martin Firk.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was his very
That's
first practice
awesome.
jersey. And it was number 48, and which was mystifying because he never actually wore that number. I think most of the time he was 42. But I
Okay.
was fortunate enough that he did do a signing before he left. And I brought it for him to sign and laid it in front of him. And I set it down. And he looked at me and he was like, "When was I 48?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. It's your first one. That's when you were 48." And he was like,
Oh,
"Wow." He had no memory of that whatsoever. So it was pretty funny. So that is my true very first game worn jersey, even though it exploded after that once Mr. Svechnikov left. So yeah. What
that's
was
nice.
your first piece? I feel like I should know, but I feel like I don't know and I need the story.
Yeah, I didn't know your first piece. So that's why I said I'm dying. I can't believe I haven't asked you this. So you get my authentic reaction. That is a great story. Randomly 48. Love it.
Yes.
You're going to love my story because
Uh-oh.
I actually don't. I had two pieces that came in very close together and I can't remember which was first. But the reason I say you'll love it is because my brother slash AKA your boyfriend
Is
was
it AKA now? Oh God.
call him what you will.
Okay.
He is very kind and was excited that I was really getting back into hockey big time. And he knew I loved this goalie, Alex Lyon. And so for Christmas, he's a very good gift giver. He scoured the internet to find me one of his first ever sticks from his professional career after He came from Yale into the Philadelphia Flyers franchise and started with their AHL affiliate, Lehigh Valley Phantoms. And I had no idea he found that for me. So it was like, a little kid at Christmas when they opened their presents, and then I was like, that was fun. And then the parents are like, there's one more back there. I wonder who that's for. That was my stick from Brennan, my
What a
brother.
guy.
And it was great. And then right around the same time, I got a glove from my husband, also from Philly, from Alex Lyons. So they looked so cute in our study, styled next to each other. I thought, wow, I think we have a new decor theme, and we need to probably just branch out and become collectors now. And I am much more of a collector than my husband. He is like one really sweet gamer from Lucas Raymond. But other than that, this is sort of my hobby
Yeah,
now. And Megan and I feed off each other. I would say we're bad influences,
for sure.
but no, because
I'll
it
send you
makes us
stuff. You need this.
happy. It
You
makes
need
us
it.
happy. So that
Yeah,
can't be bad.
right. Yes. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Jason, aka Doc Noyes, who will be joining
Yes.
us for the second period.
Yes. We have the habit of calling him Jason, but I think that most people in the hobby would know him as Doc. He is a fantastic St. Louis Blues corrector. He's been doing it forever. You'll get to see a little bit of his collection, hopefully, when he pops on. But yeah, he's great. He is very active in the groups and will help everybody and everyone he can with their hobby. And he is also one of the fantastic hosts of the Dirty Laundry podcast, Game Worn Hockey. I'm sure I'm not getting the title right. He will definitely clear that up later. But yeah, it's a fantastic podcast where you can learn anything you can think of about the hobby. So we're so excited for him to pop on here in a second for period two.
Yes, and he was kind enough to have Megan and I on his podcast when we were just guests and bright eyed and bushy tailed new to the podcast world. So it's kind of come full circle, and it'll be fun to
Yeah.
reverse roles and have him as the guest this time. So let's
Yes.
dig in.
Yes. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, Jason. Hi, Megan.
Hey, Devon.
Hello, how we doing?
Awesome. How are you?
Another great day at work is over, and sad with the Blues losing Game 2 of playoffs. At least it was only
I
2-1.
know. I
But hey,
know.
you know what? It's still playoff hockey. Even if the Blues get knocked out, just enjoy watching it.
Yeah,
Playoff hockey's the
absolutely.
best.
We wouldn't know the feeling,
Oh,
Jason, of
well,
having
I
our
mean,
own team in the
for our team
playoffs,
personally, we wouldn't know, but yeah, it's still
right?
good. We can
That's
we
why
can
you
borrow
pick a
Carolina.
secondary during playoffs.
Yes.
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina. Do you have Carolina winning it all, Megan?
Yeah,
Yeah, because
of
you
course.
you use mind and heart when you put your bracket together.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Well, I
I
mean,
do
I think
too.
they do have a legitimate shot, but yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, that's my personal favorite.
I have Carolina in the finals against Dallas, but I have Dallas winning.
I
But
don't
I
think that's gonna work
also,
out.
I know with Robo hurt, it hasn't looked great. But I tried to stay up for the game last night, and it went into almost double overtime. It was late. It was almost 1 a.m., so I can't recall. But they pulled it out in the end, so the series is tied 1-1. But my husband has the Avs, so it's anyone's game.
Nobody likes the Avs. Come on.
I don't like them, but I just had to be realistic.
Yes. How about you, Jason? Who's your team? I mean, outside of St. Louis.
Besides St. Louis, I would honestly, I'd like to see Carolina do it.
Yeah.
And I love the look of physical look of the jerseys and stuff like that for that team, and just how they've been all year. I think they have a solid shot.
Yes, good. Well, that's why I put up my Lion Carolina jersey today.
You have choices.
I have choices. Yes, they're not everyone's, but they are my own. So taking a quick step back, we this show has, as you may have heard, a 3-period format. So welcome to the second period. We did a brief introduction of who you are and why we're so excited to have you. But now that you're here, would you mind doing just a quick introduction for our guests? Let them know why St. Louis Blues is your team and anything else you want to share.
I am Jason Noyes. I go by Doc Noyes across all the different platforms. Have been a blues fan pretty much as long as I can remember. I live in Central Illinois, so I'm right at the split between Chicago and St. Louis. St. Louis just a tad bit closer. I've always liked the Blue Note, and growing up watching Brett Hull and those guys play, and even always watching Craig McTavish because he didn't wear a helmet. He was the last guy in the entire league to
Yeah.
not wear a
Last
helmet. So
guy.
we had that distinction with that, which was kind of cool. And have always liked hockey. I play as well, both as a goalie and a forward. So I have, yes, your love of goaltenders. So I do that as well as collect, as you can see by the background, collect game worn jerseys and also run the Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey podcast, which I know we'll talk about here in a bit.
Absolutely. And you and Megan were connected and friends before I met you. Megan introduced me to you. How did that come to be?
That was kind of crazy because I had purchased several preseason jerseys from the Blues. Had kind of went through them and decided, you know what, I'm going to keep some and I'm going to move some on so I can pick up some other things. And I posted a Wade Megan one, and he'd been between the Blues and the Chicago Wolves at the time. I had posted it, and it of the three or four I posted, it went within minutes
Ooh.
of all the ones. I was surprised because there was a goalie in there was some other stuff, but a person reached out, really liked that one, and I sold it, and not 5 minutes after that Megan sent me a message about it.
Just my luck.
Yeah, as you know, timing is everything.
For sure.
But we talked back and forth, and I said, yeah, I just moved it minutes ago, and felt horrible, but I told her I would
Aw.
always look out because I knew there were more out there, or would track down nameplates, things like that, because the Blues hoard a lot of stuff. And as I saw things pop up, either I could pick up or other people were selling, I would message her and say, hey, have you seen this, or this person's got this, to help expand her collection.
Yes, and now
Speaking
I'm the
of
proud owner of.
I like spending other people's money is what it
Yeah.
what it works out to. If I don't have my own and things pop up, this person needs it instead.
And
For
for our
sure.
listeners, if you haven't seen the Wade Megan jerseys, they were featured behind the lovely Megan in, what was it, our first episode?
Yes, the Chicago Wolves ones were. Yes, this
Yes.
is one of his Blues jerseys. I'm still on the hunt for a white Blues
Mm.
jersey. That's what I'm missing for Wade.
I know they are out there. I don't know that the
Somewhere.
Blues are still hoarding them, but I do know they are out there.
Wonderful.
It's always nice to have something you're looking for. It's kind of fun.
It's-
Scavenger hunt.
And to get into that a little bit, it does never really stop. Is I have a one of my parts of my collection is a friend of mine. His name's Mike McKenna. He played juniors. I met him here in Springfield. He played juniors for the Springfield Junior Blues, went to college and was drafted by the Predators. I started trying to pick up jerseys of him from NHL teams and ended up with 20 some, 22 actually now. And over the years, knew he collected and wanted them. So as he would go to teams in the summer between where he was at, I would trade him jerseys for gear because I was full right like he was, and I couldn't afford pro level goalie gear. So we'd swap jerseys for gear, and then I'd pick up other ones if there were extras of the same team, so I could still have some in that. And even up to 2 weeks ago, I still picking up jerseys of his, and his last year was 18-19.
Wow.
That's
So
pretty cool.
no matter how long somebody's been out of league or whatever, don't stop looking because it will appear at the hopefully the times when you have the money and not
Yeah.
the inopportune times where you may risk not getting it.
Yes.
Is that how you got started collecting?
Kind of. When I watched him play for the Junior Blues, it was about 3 years before that. It's their second year in the North American Hockey League. They are the oldest team still in the North American Hockey League. They've never folded, moved, things like that. But I went the first year, and halfway through the season, they were replacing their jerseys because there was a lettering issue or something. And we had gotten to know the front office people in that because it was a small group. And I knew some of the host parents. They said, oh, by the way, they're selling these. Do you want to buy one? And they were $100. So I bought one of the players that I'd become friends with, bought one of his. And then at the end of the season, they sold more. And then for the first couple of years, I would buy from them. And then at that time I was 16, 17 years old, so not having a lot of money, but then started to realize, wow, I wonder if the Blues do this thing. visited the team in St. Louis. They always had some in the store, always out of my price range, but that started getting me hooked on it. So once I had a more reasonable income to be able to afford those things, started buying stuff from the Blues directly. One of the first, I guess, first big purchases I made is the Blues used to do auctions by fax. This
Oh,
was
wow.
the 2000, 2001, 2000 is when it was actually done, the fall of 2000 from the 99 2000 season. They put
Wow.
up on the Blues put up on their webpage. You downloaded a fact sheet, wrote your bids in, and faxed it off. And then you didn't know anything until the auction ended. Then they'd call
Wow.
you and say, hey, you won however many, and then you paid for them and you got them. You didn't know other than them describing who the player was, if it was blue or white, and then if it was no wear, light wear, medium wear, or heavy wear.
Oh my
I actually
gosh.
had somebody recently find some of those fact sheets and send me pictures of them, and it was kind of cool to look at and see what was out there, what the starting bids were, and all that. But yeah, that was my first big purchase as a game used collector, and then at that point the for the younger people out there who do know about game worn collecting, is there was a forum back then. I still call it the infancy of the internet and some of these forums, but that was where a lot of us collectors connected, and guys I still talk to all these many years later.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's incredible how much the hobby has evolved in a relatively short time. And that actually makes me think we probably have a lot of listeners who just haven't heard of game worn or game used collecting until this episode. Do you want to give kind of an overview of what it's all about and why people consider it a hobby?
Sure. The every sport has it in some form or another, even to the smallest of like colleges and things like that, is people like to get a connection to their team, be it
Hmm.
a baseball, be it a bat, a football, cleats, whatever it is for your sport, you can find it. Game worn collecting, and a lot of people I know out there who like collecting cards may get cards with pieces of a bat, of a uniform, or whatever. We buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you
Good way
get
to
a
put
bigger
it.
piece, but you also sometimes, not always, have a bigger bill. So hobbyists, and I've talked to people across the different leagues. They're hobbyists and everything, and especially now with social media, be it Facebook or wherever, you can join groups for a specific team or for, I guess, as a hobby as a whole. We have several Facebook groups that cover everything, and then everybody's created for individual teams as well. So sometimes you can, if you have a focus or don't want the grand scale, but you may buy directly from a team. You may buy through a company like Migray is one of the big companies. You've seen them more in the news lately with the Ovechkin
Yes.
breaking that. So their name has become even bigger out there. But yes, you can go any number of ways and buy a piece of game use something from player, be it helmets, be it jerseys, gloves, skates, and you guys own all of those things as well. But even I talk to fans even now. I'll run into them at games, or I tell people what I do with the podcast and the hobby in general is, and people still don't realize that's an option. And I think
Hmm.
it's gotten better a little bit with social media and just how things sometimes pop up in people's feeds, or you get a new fan going to a game, and in this case, I can speak for the Blues. They have a table at every game, and sometimes they're selling jerseys or sticks right there, or they're showing off for their online auction that's currently going on. So you can see some of what's in the auction in their cases, which we visually inspected really old jerseys the Blues have put up. So it's kind of nice to be able to go look up and see what these things are like. But like any hobby, it's only expensive as you make it. I mean, you can
Right.
buy low end hockey jerseys of, if you've got a junior team in your town or things like that, relatively inexpensive. Or again, you can buy or attempt to buy a Gretzky jersey and pay millions of dollars. I mean,
Hmm.
it's you don't have to have deep pockets, but the biggest thing I can tell you is find a focus, either
Hmm.
a team, a player, but set that early because monetarily it can get out of control very quickly. I mean,
True.
it like anything else, it can be an addiction, and you just be careful. Work within your means and find something. Megan with Wade Megan, Devon, you with Alex Lyon. That's there's only going to be so many of those things, and again, you could adjust some players or add some other things to it, but just be smart about it, really.
Yeah, that's great advice, truly, when
For
you're getting
sure.
started. One thing you mentioned, it can become an addiction. It can grow so fast too. So
Yes,
I
very
sometimes
quickly.
think about like there's a lot of collectors we know who focus in on a particular product, like they only collect jerseys. Or I met a guy on a collector group in Facebook who only collects microphones. I thought that was such a cool one, especially as like a broadcast person, Jason. I thought you'd appreciate that. But it's all of the famous broadcasters' mics. Very cool.
That no that and there really is a hobby for everything. I don't consider myself a collector because I drink them and they get empty, but I have a huge stash of bourbons. Every
Oh,
time
cool.
I do my podcast, the night of the show or at the beginning, I announce what bourbon I'm drinking in my old fashioned. I'm not sponsored by any bourbon people or whatever, but it's just a kind of a little other niche thing. But yeah, there truly are hobbies for anything, and you can spend very little money to huge. I mean, I know some people that just collect like the media guides from NHL teams. Not
Hmm.
an expensive
Very cool.
thing, but it can get expensive if you're looking at really old things.
Hmm. And it's if you're going to invest in, decorating a study or a game room or any room in your home and you're looking at art, I think of it too as like these jerseys are exquisite. Some of the detail. I mean, this is a piece of art that you can hang up and proudly admire, but it's also a piece of hockey history. So I like
100%.
art in general that has meaning. It's a painting of a place I've been or, a place I love. And in the hockey game worn pieces, to me it's the same thing. Like it's beautiful, but it takes you right back to that moment, that game, that exciting piece of the
Sure.
sport that you love.
And there's some guys I know in a hobby that only collect game worn jerseys. If they go to a particular game, they try to get the jersey that's worn in that set. If let's call it a set one, they were there in November and they know that team was in set one home jersey. That's what they want because they were at they saw that jersey on the ice in front of them. Doesn't matter the team. If they go, a friend of mine, he went to San Jose. He wants one of the jerseys from that game because he was there. That's a cool focus to have. If you're not going to a ton of games, then your budget's going to be much lower than if you're going to 15 or 20 around the country. That adds up in a hurry. And then you've got to chase down between teams how each team sells it. And are you actually going to be able to pull one of the jerseys you want?
For sure. Yeah. Not all programs are created equal. That's for sure. It's hard to
Right.
tell what you're going to get sometimes.
We had a friend recently go to San Jose too, and we were really excited to go see him, but he's already been traded to Edmonton.
Oh, you
Just
mean
kidding.
a hockey player?
I mean Jake Wallman.
Hey,
He's not a real personal friend, but he does know us as those two crazy gals from the Wings.
I watched Wallman when he played here in St. Louis.
Yeah, that's why I had to bring him
Yes.
up. That's a player we all have in common. But
That's funny.
yeah, I don't have any gamers from Wallman, but I have a couple cool Wallman cards. So,
I
I
can help
have
work that out if you need that.
oh really? That'd be
Yep.
fun.
Friend of
That would
mine
be
has
one
one.
Megan and I have to share, like Piotr
uh-oh.
Kochekov.
I am hiding a game issue Wallman when he was wearing 8. I'm hiding that.
Wait, you have it already?
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
You need to come over.
Oh my goodness. I have been the number of
Surprises
times.
right on the show.
Uh-huh.
Truly. I told Megan I'm gonna end up listening to these stories like, oh, I never knew that about you. All the times I've been to Megan's house, which could be Hockey Hall of Fame 2.0.
No.
Every time I go, I find something new. I'm like, how did you never mention you had this like incredible Winnipeg Jets like reverse retro? Like
I probably
they pop
forgot.
out.
But remember, the other side of it too is when you get to the point and you're looking through your rack of jerseys or whatever, and you forget you had something too.
Uh-huh.
A few different times where I was flipping through lately, and I'm like, I forgot I even still had that. So
I
Yeah.
yeah, you even though friend may come over and go, I didn't realize you had that. When you forget yourself, sometimes it does become a problem.
The bad sign. Yeah, I didn't realize that I had Lucas Raymond's 25th anniversary Griffins jersey. He never
Yes.
wore it. It was just team issue. And I pulled it out and I was like, when did I buy this? This is out of control.
Welcome to the hobby.
Oh my God.
Right. It's like some people get on Amazon late night after a cocktail and it's like, oh no, we just buy jerseys.
That,
black out at the equipment
honestly,
sale.
the number of people that I've talked to that have done that exact thing is either they're at a game and there's a live auction going on, they're drinking and the team auctions on their phone, and how dangerous that can get. And I accidentally bought 3 when I was going to go after just one, but I bid on these 2 because of this, and I'd also had 6 beers. Yeah, that's drunk Amazon shopping and drunk jersey bidding and buying, 100% legit thing.
So good.
Well, they all go hand in hand with hardcore hockey fans.
Oh,
collecting
for sure.
and beer. Or bourbon.
I
or wine.
bid on and bought a hoodie last night. I was actually
nice.
the Blues put out some team hoodies on their auction. I was playing at the time and had to watch the clock because I had my cell phone on the bench to make sure I could be at the end of the auction to make sure I didn't get outbid. So I took my break right as the auction was finishing up and ended up securing a hoodie.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Were you in net?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
So
nice.
So yeah, full gear, get the mask off, get the gloves off, sit on the bench and get out my phone so I can make sure I win the auction.
Does everybody just know what you're doing?
What's that?
Does everybody just know what you're doing when you skate off like that?
No. I usually tell them after the fact. I had just timed it right with because we usually switch ends with the group that we play. So I said, it's time to switch. Just did it a few minutes early.
Nice.
But I have left hockey early for one of the big Blues auctions that were closing just because I wanted to make sure I was in front of a computer for it to close and not on my phone, because where I'm at, I don't always have the best cell signal.
Yes. Good call. If you're not following us on Instagram, you can at Hockey Style Podcast, and then you get all the behind the scenes photos of our crazy hockey lives. But I thought of you because I shared on our story the other day. It was probably like a 7-year-old kid, first time in net, playing goalie, and he's all decked out in his pads and he's so excited, and he goes and he gets in net and he plays a shift and he skates over, and the coach is like, what are you doing? Get back in the net. He goes, but I need a break. I need a break now.
Yeah, and I take them often with playing with the guys I play with. I'm like, okay, I need a couple minutes. Just let me get a drink and chill and get back to it.
It was just the cutest little hockey boy. All right. So we've talked a lot about auctions and ways that you've come across some of the items that are part of your collection. If you're starting out brand new, interested in getting a piece to commemorate your team, your favorite player, a game you attended, where would you recommend our listeners start?
If you are going to team games where they sell them right there, I will say a lot of teams are very well educated and know their programs well and understand how things work and could help explain to a new person, yes, this is game worn, yes, this is game issued, things like that, help explain that. If you're on social media, especially Facebook, there are groups like I said before, specifically for your team, most likely. I'm using NHL as the example because I know across the board, a lot of minor leagues have groups, or individual teams, even in the minor leagues, have groups. But one of the big Facebook groups, if you think you want to get into collecting, is the game worn hockey jerseys. You'll see it, and I think there's 25,000 plus people in that. Number may be way off, but I think that's the last time I saw it. But you can join that group. There are a ton of us in there that are very happy to help. If people ask questions about, hey, I'm looking to buy from X team, do you guys know what should I expect to pay for either player X or just a jersey in general? Because some people are going to be quite surprised if they, again, using Ovechkin right now because he was the big name in there, is you may get somebody realize, oh, I saw the news article that talks about them collecting and selling these, and somebody reaches out, oh, I'd love to buy an Ovechkin jersey, and then you tell them it's $15,000 to $30,000 depending on which one. Okay, that may be out of their price range, or they may not bat an eye. Mm-hmm. So I don't ever assume what people's budgets are. I will gladly sit down and say, okay, what is your budget? Who do you plan to target? Because it may be that you have to put money away for a while. Or one of the things I do specifically for the St. Louis Blues is I track all of their. They use GiveSmart through the phone to do their
Yeah.
auctions. I track every auction that has game worn jerseys in it. I put the entire team's roster in an Excel spreadsheet, keep track of the call ups and things like that too. And then after every auction closes, put those prices in. So I started it as a way for me, if I knew I wanted to go after a player, what price range I would probably be in. And
Yep,
you get
that's
one
smart.
offs where if it's a specialty jersey or they're only wearing it once, those may go higher. But kind of using it as a good baseline or just an average, that's helped a lot. But even if somebody comes to me and say they want to buy a Washington Capitals jersey, I'll send them to my Grace page and say, hey, here's who sells them. Here's the best way to kind of see where those prices are. Or again, in the groups, a lot of collectors may be willing to move. If you say, hey, I'm looking for a Capitals jersey and want to pay up to 400, you may talk to several collectors that have that. But we are always trying to educate new collectors in what to watch out for, what to know, just the general things. Like I said previously, find a focus, have a budget, those kind of things, because like I said, it can get out of hand very quickly. And then you get a credit card statement or something and go, wow, I didn't expect to spend
Mhm.
$8,000 this month.
Right.
And it
Right.
adds up because you're doing PayPal and sending stuff off, and you're not if money's not really changing your hands, dollar bills and that,
Mhm.
you may be a little disconnected from it.
Yeah. But like you said, there really is something for everyone out there at every price point. If you're really interested in owning, part of a game worn set, and I have to say, Jason, huge or do you like? Should we call you Doc at this
That's
point? I
usually
feel like
what I go by across everything.
being ladies, we've always just called you Jason. But
No, you're good. I've been called much worse, so that's
yes.
okay.
Oh, that's a line from one of our favorite lines from Shorzy. I've been called worse, boys. Just
I
the
was a
worst,
I was
worst
in
accent.
political talk radio for 6 years. I've been called a lot worse.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So you reached out to me, I think it was over Facebook Messenger, because you really do, when I say like you care about the people who connect with you and who they're searching for and really do remember folks. You remembered after only meeting me once that I'm an Alex Lyon collector, and you sent me a link to an awesome Lehigh Valley blackout jersey that he wore. So a special jersey from the start of his professional career after Yale. And I was able to get it at a super reasonable price. And I'm so excited because he signed it for me on Saturday. So I
Even
have to
better.
show you. I know it lives with me now. Isn't that a
Those
good one?
those are sharp, and it's funny when I mentioned earlier about never stop trying to collect, like in my case, Mike McKenna. If you've got a player, no matter how long he's been gone, things show up. The
Yeah.
jersey I just got delivered a week and a half ago was a Lehigh Valley Phantoms jersey.
No way. Oh,
And that was a collector friend of mine who was out there, knew I was a big fan of McKenna. He is as well. He already owned one. He knew another person who'd won it from the auction, reached out and put us in contact, and I made a deal and bought it. And actually, I saw Mike last week because he now runs a liquor store in St. Louis. Saw him down there while I was getting to meet Ed Belfour and showed him pictures and told him about it. He was so excited. He's actually working. He wants to get his very last one because he played the last home game and then retired after that game. So that's the one. He
wow.
knows who has it. He just has to work on finalizing
Yeah.
that deal. But yeah, you never stop because things will appear at the most random time. It's funny,
For
we both
sure.
got from the same team.
Yeah, go Lehigh Valley. When Megan and I were guests on your podcast, which we'll talk about, and hopefully refer people to that episode because it was a great chat. A gentleman commented weeks later, and I happened to go back and see it when I was sharing the episode with a friend, and he said, "Hey, someone tell Devon that the Chicago Wolves still have Alex Lyon's Calder Cup worn jersey."
Oh
And it was
wow.
just like in their archives. They never did anything with it. And I only happened to go back. He didn't tag me or like I had to go back and just randomly read this.
And I probably
So,
I'm so bad sometimes, and I feel bad for our listeners of our podcast because it's posted so many places. I don't always see the notifications
oh
for
yeah.
comments and stuff. So I need to be better at because I completely missed that. I hadn't seen that.
Oh, not your fault because this was after the fact. So I wouldn't think you'd be going back and looking, but I called them up on a whim and talked to the nicest woman who, she does several things over there, but she was in charge of their authentics. And she said, you know what? We do have that. And it is from the Calder Cup championship year. And because it wasn't up for auction or hadn't been, we worked out a great price. And now I have that too.
Nice.
So,
And
very cool.
that's
Thank you so much.
you know what? I'm glad I can make connections no matter how it works out. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things, as I will call us seasoned collectors, because I hate saying that we're old and we've been in the hobby a long time, because there's guys that have been in way longer than I have. But we all use our knowledge to help others because, again, I know a lot of the blue stuff. I don't know stuff from Chicago or Carolina or Detroit, but I know who to go talk to. So if somebody says, hey, I'm looking to buy this jersey, what do you think? I'm going to send them to somebody that can look at that jersey and go, yep, it was worn then, or these kind of repairs are this time period, or whatever it is, because teams do weird stuff with how they tag jerseys, how they document their stuff. So we have a great pool, but we're constantly getting new young collectors in, and we want them to have the best experience because, as you probably know just as well as I do, is social media can be nasty. And sometimes you're trying to ask the most basic question legitimately, and people will treat you like crap. And I hate that because it's a hobby that we want to grow, and we try to make it kind of like a big family. And that's I always have people tell me, "Hey, keep an eye out for this," or "I'm looking for these." Great, because I can't, even if it's blue stuff, I can't own it all. And you spread the stuff out. If I know, and it's funny because with blues auctions, when they come up, a few of us will talk, hey, who are you looking at? Okay, I'll avoid that player. I'm looking at this one. Or several times after one of the recent big blues auctions, as I had photo matched 5 or 6 of the jerseys just from their auction pictures. We always do a post auction, hey, who got what in the blues game worn Facebook group. And I commented on several guys, hey, Getty Images has these great photo matches, and send them links to them. Didn't buy the jersey, nor did I care, but I researched stuff ahead of time. So if I do have it, I already know more about it, or I can help somebody else.
Yeah.
So great.
But it's I couldn't tell you how many messages, Megan, I've sent you of different things, because stumbling across nameplates. I was doing a random search for something else. I'm like, oh, I shoot that one. It's just, if I know somebody's looking for something, I'll gladly help them out. I mean, it's because it'll come back and help me later.
For sure. I have a very healthy nameplate collection.
But see, they're cheap, they're small, they don't take up a lot of space. But again, Devon, just like you said, is with the jerseys, it's art. A lot of those nameplates are too. And it's I know people that collect those, and teams at sales and stuff a lot of times sell them super cheap.
Oh yeah.
So you can pick up players for $5 or $10 a piece.
You
tell them about
your story.
Yeah, the Chicago Wolves nameplates. Well, I go fix my blinds that are giving me weird sunlight.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it's not all that exciting, but to your point, the Wolves had a bunch of nameplates at their foundation table. They're only $10 a piece, and I was crying because it was new guy, some other new guy, another new guy.
And I own a few of those exact ones too, and those
so
are my
good.
favorite ones because
They're
it's
the
just funny.
best.
Yes,
It's hilarious.
I actually own one from the Springfield Thunderbirds, the Blues AHL affiliate, and it says mint gum.
Oh my gosh, I almost bought some of those.
And I reached out to the Drew who runs the program there at Springfield, and I'm like, do you guys make these? Because every theme they do, they make all of those. Like men, I think there was one. It's men's room, wet room, coach's office. It's anything that I think has a plate. And I'm like, did they do that every game? Yep, sure do. I said, why mint gum? He's like, well, we know it'll sell, and there's a huge thing of mint gum that's in the locker room, so they put the nameplate on it. I'm like,
They
all
should
right,
sell a
I
picture.
like
They
it.
should put a picture with it because it's so funny.
Yes,
Mm,
but
it's
it's
cute.
some of those oddball pieces you can pick up, and then you can tell the story of, oh yeah, I reached out to the team, or the another new guy ones. Those are phenomenal
Oh, so good.
because they when
Yeah.
you get all the call ups and stuff, it's a great way to kick that off, and the player that walked in to see that in their spot got a kick out of it too.
Oh, for sure. It must be hilarious walking into that.
I just wonder how they choose who gets them because we just had our two big hot up and comers from Europe make their AHL debuts with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Axel Sandin Pelika and Michael Brandseg Nygaard. The three initial boys, Asp and MBN.
Too much. Can't do it.
Michael Brandseg. Well,
Too
I
many
might have got those.
letters. Can't
Yes.
do it.
Anyway, I think I messed that up. But Axel walked in and he had a nameplate ready to go. And then Brandseg Nygaard had new guy. And I thought, are they trying to
Maybe they broke
rile
the
him up
printer
a
with the
little?
first one, and they
Yeah.
had to put new guy for the second.
The system crashed on that
But
first
some of
one.
those
You know
nameplates
what?
seem
That's
like they
right.
should be about this long with the names that are on there. Some of
Yeah.
the names barely fit on the jersey.
Well,
Yeah.
the jerseys too are down the shoulders at this point. So
Hmm.
they just need some better nicknames as they make it to the NHL.
But yeah,
So
I mean, it's just another fun thing to go after, and they're super cheap. Springfield does every year a Simpsons theme since they're Springfield, Massachusetts. Well, I
Mhm.
live in Springfield, Illinois, so I like trying to get some of that stuff. And again, the nameplates, the jerseys go for super high money, but I can pick up a nameplate for 20 or $30.
So fun.
yeah. Yep. You mentioned that a lot of the pieces you found that you've been able to help others find have been through these relationships and connections you've cultivated through the hobby of collecting. So I'd love to know any special friendships that you want to call out or that you've made solely through running into other collectors.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, is the other guys that do the podcast with me, three of them do it on a regular basis, two of which I have known for quite a long time. First, Paul Rank, I've known him for God, really for decades since I talked about the original forum that was online, and then Wade Hampton, is down in the St. Louis area. He puts on the St. Louis Expo and actually just put on the Frozen 4 Expo 2 weeks ago now. But I've made I couldn't almost list it. I've got so many people that I talk to on a regular basis that I've connected with, and not just blues collectors, is guys on the East Coast, guys on the West Coast, Canadians. I've made a new recent friend. I have a jersey still traveling to him. I got the ones he sent me. Rory. We did a show with him not long ago. He is in New Zealand. He is
Oh,
from
cool.
Ireland,
Oh,
but
cool.
I'm sorry, from Scotland, and now lives in New Zealand, and sent me some New Zealand Olympic jerseys.
Oh,
Amazing.
cool.
So and
And you
then
have ladies in Detroit.
yes, I do. So I've covered all over the place, but and again, sometimes when we talk, it may have nothing to do with the hobby at all. It's just checking in, or hey, doing this thing or that thing, and it's just an ever growing family. We with the Frozen 4 Expo we had a couple weeks ago, we again, Paul and his wife Monica came in from San Jose for that. I hadn't seen them in almost 10 years from the
Wow.
last Chicago Expo that we did. Talk to them all the time, but and even met some new people. Somebody that I had helped through a Reddit post had bought a blues made in Canada blank 90s style from the team. Had some questions about lettering and other stuff, and I commented and I put a link to our flyer for the Frozen 4 Expo. He stopped by,
Oh,
and
neat.
just things like that. Didn't know he was going to be there. Stopped by, introduced himself. So it's an ever evolving things, and even people who have dropped out of the hobby over years or kind of really dialed back, so they're not really on social media active, still stay friends with them, talk to them, just check in to see how they are. So it really is just an ever growing family.
Yeah, I
So
couldn't agree
awesome.
more. We if you're if you're not compelled to start a collection just because of the fun of owning a piece of hockey history, I will say the friendships are the other big reason to do it. I'm constantly blown away by the kindness of the people I've met who are Red Wings collectors locally. Megan introduced me to most of them when we camped out at the equipment sale, which we talk all about on Jason's podcast. But they still like will reach out to me anytime they find a goalie piece, certainly a lion piece they know I would like. Or I was recently able to catch Alex Lyon at Locker Cleanout Day and chat with him. And a gentleman who I've never met but knows me loosely from the collector world was taking pictures because he knew it would mean so much to me. And afterwards said, I haven't introduced myself yet, but I wanted to get these pictures for you because I knew they would mean a lot to you. And I thought, you like these are just really good people. And I think it's because they understand our passion for the sport and what it means to us to have something tangible to represent that sport. Like it's hard to explain it to folks who haven't, been part of it, but when you've done it, it's like, oh, these are my people. You know what I mean?
And that's one of the things that I preach and probably beat to death is with people coming to expos or people being in the hobby. You don't have to have 50 or 100 jerseys. If you have one, you now are in the game worn hobby. And
Yes.
if you only want to own that one because of it, the player did something specific in it or whatever, fantastic. But we want to hear the story about that. That's one of the great things about getting together for expos or running to people at games, things like that, is hearing the story of how you got it or showing the repairs. The coolest one, I think, recently was again the Frozen Four. As we went to the championship game, Western Michigan versus Boston University. I'd never been to a college game before, and the
You picked
atmosphere
a
and
good one.
yeah, for sure. The atmosphere there and seeing not just the people from the teams that were in it, because you had the four teams on Thursday, and then of course Western Michigan and Boston on Saturday, but you had team UND represented there with people wearing those jerseys. It didn't matter, but the number of game worn jerseys you saw from different teams of people wearing, and Paul and I and others would stop and ask them about it, and because some of them looked like they were antiques. But it was
Wow.
just cool to even people that weren't necessarily collectors but were fans and had those game jerseys to talk to them and see how cool it was or find out how old it was. It's just those little connections too, because it may lay a spark on them to go, oh, this is way bigger than what I thought, or I didn't know this existed. Now I do.
For
So
sure.
how did all of this turn into Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey Podcast?
I was bored. Way back when, what's this pushing? Well, 10 plus years ago, there was another podcast. It was Game Worn Radio. Derek Whitaker, who is a wings collector, starting to try and get out of the hobby, but is a wings collector. You guys may be familiar with him.
I know
I
of
was
him
on the
because
radio at the time doing terrestrial, normal, everyday radio, video game radio show, along with some rock radio stuff. Was talking to him as collectors and that. So a couple of us started doing that on a regular basis, did player interviews, just hobby news, all that. And that lasted for a while and we all got busy with other things. Then I finally ended my terrestrial radio second job. I worked for a university in IT full time. So decided enough of that and was kind of looking for something to do. I'm like, with and I have a lot of friends that are vloggers on YouTube and things and do travel vlogs and stuff. I'm like, this would be fun to do because we are missing. There's podcasts for everything.
Yeah.
We're missing something in there, and I'm like, you know what? Let's start doing it. I talked to Wade and Paul, and then we brought Justin in as well and launched it, and it has become extremely popular. We've had a ton of really positive feedback. I know some different people have reached out. NHL officials have watched it and liked it,
Oh, cool.
and we've had just a lot of positive things. And so the number of people the podcast has been shared with that aren't necessarily hobbyists, but still like listen to it. I met a guy at our expo that stopped by because he knows Wade. He's like, I don't know anything about the hobby, but I love listening to the podcast every week. And
Awesome.
some of the things we do is we don't throw a lot of language around. And we've had a lot of people reach out to us say, hey, thanks for not dropping the F bomb all the time and that, because with me being in regular radio, I could never do that. And a lot of people go and do podcasts and it's constant language because nobody cares. Well,
Are you giving us a warning?
no, I mean,
Is this a good
everybody do it
lesson?
your own, but a lot of people listen to them in their car, and if they have kids,
Yeah.
they're going to be really turned off in watching that. So it's
That's a great
and
point.
again, we may drop the occasional cuss word, but we don't try to do it intentionally, or
Yeah.
we say it to blow things up. It may just come out occasionally, but it's not something we say focus on. But
Yes.
it's just been a lot of what happens in the hobby the previous week. If teams are like we covered Boston starting to sell their stuff before the last season, the big switch from Adidas to Fanatics.
Yes.
Early on, it was okay. Here's the rumors that are coming out. Here's what the jerseys are supposed to look out. So every time pieces of that news came out, we would talk about it and talk about how much the same thing happened when Adidas took over for Reebok. Is we were nervous because when the dimples came on the jersey, everybody was like, "What the hell is that?" And now everybody's missing the dimples.
Where are the dimples?
Right. And then when you hear when you heard Fanatics was coming to take over, it's like, great, the quality is going to suck and all this kind of stuff. Well, when it came out that they're using the same factory Adidas used, some things will be tweaked, and now we're getting the Fanatics jerseys in our hands. They're beat to hell.
Yep.
And as collectors, for people that aren't aware or don't know much about the hobby, a lot of collectors like jerseys that have a ton of wear because one, you can photo match them. Two, they look good with good game use on them. I mean, as you know, with Alex Lyon, you get all the puck marks and things on it. And some teams, I mean, you can, or Red Wings jerseys in general, you can count 30 or 40 repairs on some of those.
Mm-hmm.
And we were nervous with what's Fanatics going to do, what are they going to hold up like, and everybody I've talked to was really impressed with that wear and the quality, because they're heavy. They are a little bit heavier than the Adidas, and they are solid.
Yeah, I haven't really seen a gamer in person yet, but I have heard that people are pretty happy with them and they've done a good job so far. I mean, RIP Dimples, but I think overall it worked out.
I have one gamer Fanatics, but sadly, I can't really comment on the wear because it was Alex Lyon's Stadium Series and he was backup. So he didn't get
It's heavy though, right?
It's heavy. And actually, I stand corrected because while he was backup at Stadium Series, they wore them 2 games back home and he did start in one of them. So it's lighter wear than I'm used to, but you can
So
see
you
a
got one of
little
those
bit.
because it was a photo
Mhm.
shoot that they turn into a game jersey.
You know what's
They
nice?
did.
I didn't get the photo shoot one though, because I did not get mine through the team store.
Oh,
I
so you got it
mine
through the
NHL.
okay.
The NHL auction. So I got one of the first period.
Okay. I
jerseys.
didn't realize those were also then used in some
Yes.
regular games. Even better.
Yeah, even better. So, well, Jason, we could talk to you all night because you're a wealth of knowledge and so friendly and warm and welcoming. But we should probably just give you a couple more questions to let you enjoy your
You do need to
evening.
eventually get to the third period.
I know. But this is the best period, I must say. This is like, what do they say? The first to 3 goals usually wins. Like that's the second
and
period.
it's-
We're like right there.
Sure, I will say it's funny because you're the second podcast that's had me on, and it's so weird. It feels weird to have the script flipped. Me getting asked questions instead of putting the content together and asking them, and you guys probably now feel a little bit of the same ways with us having you on our podcast and now doing your own.
Yes.
I did my Grays several months back, and it was an honor to be asked on theirs as well as being on yours now. But it was so weird to have to think and answer questions instead of just asking them.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a little different. Oh, my grade. That reminds me, I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but for our listeners that aren't familiar, do you want to give the quick synopsis on that third party and the teams they work with?
I do not have the list in front of me. I apologize. But if you go to
That's okay.
migray.com, it's MEIGRAY.com, or just Google search them. Across the top, it lists who all the teams are. I know they have the Capitals. I know they have Nashville.
Flyers.
Yep, Flyers and a few other Columbus.
Oh,
And a couple
good
other
to
ones
know.
I can't remember. They do also have older stuff on consignment from, you can go through their list and see they also do East Coast Hockey League. They do the NBA. So they have they have been in a business a long time. They are an extremely reputable dealer. They also do some authentication and that. So if you have a jersey you think is game worn of some significance or things, you can actually contact them and send it to them, and they will research it and do some
Oh.
more documentation. But yeah, they are one of the biggest in the business, and Barry and the staff over there are awesome.
Ah, I didn't know that. That's really cool. So yeah, long story short, most teams have access to their own authentics to give to their foundation or auction off, and but those specific teams that work with My Gray do that, and you can find those pieces
And
directly through
what's
them.
cool with them too, over a lot of the other teams that sell their own, is Migra you can pre-order. So you may pre-order a jersey and then you're watching the games on TV, or if you go to the arena and watch them, you know that's your jersey, and when they go out of that set, Migra gets them, you will get it. So a lot of people think that's cool because, oh, I paid for this and there it is out on the ice.
That's pretty cool.
So you asked Megan and I at the end of your show what our favorite piece in our collection was and what piece we hope to someday acquire. So we must throw that back at you.
Ooh, it's
They're
actually a
fun.
tough one. Um, I'd love to have a because the players got the game 7. I would love to have a game 6 Blues Stanley Cup Finals jersey. It's the white, or I'm sorry, it'd be the blue, because the whites they wore because they won game 7 in Boston. I have a um, uh, game issue one behind me from the one of the Black Aces, just the guys that were on standby in case they were to needed to go in. So I at least do have a cup jersey, but I'd love to have a Warren Cup jersey. Love to have a Brett Hull or a Gretzky, but those would always be out of my price range. Um, and then I'm sorry, the second part of the question was
Your favorite piece you do
favorite.
have.
Honestly, it
Is it like
changes.
choosing among children? You just aren't
It
supposed to do
is,
it.
and it as it's hard because I picked up some really fun ones lately, and as you can kind of see over my shoulder, the Blues Winter Classic that they just wore this year, I really like the look of that. When they put it out and showed it online, I was like, okay. Some people hated it, but I've talked to more people that once they got one in front of them, it was, yeah, this thing's awesome. And I got one originally. It's actually going back to the photo shoot things. I got one. That one there's a photo shoot, and I actually happened to be able to pick another one up from the Blues a couple weeks ago. So I do now have a pair of those. But yeah, those I think
Cool.
are my favorite at this time, and it may
Yeah.
change next week.
I can
That's like you,
understand that.
Megan.
Yeah.
And as you guys know as well, going to the fashion piece of this really quick, the hardest thing I think for all of us, be it male, female, whoever, if you're going to a game and you have jerseys to choose from, it's standing in front of that rack trying to figure out what the hell you're going to wear. Because I could spend 30 minutes and I may end up pulling 2 or 3 and getting them ready. And then sometimes I've actually brought extra, throw them in the car, because it is an hour and a half drive for me to Enterprise Center. And by the time I get down there, I've changed my mind in which one I want to wear. So yeah, it's going back to the fashion piece. That is a tough decision for all of us.
For
I
sure.
love
I
that
get
you
in
tied
trouble
it
all the
back.
time. Yeah, I get in trouble all the time for wearing the wrong jersey to the Wings game. So
When she says the wrong, we're not talking like home or away or reverse retro or stadium series. We're talking she'll straight up wear San Jose to the Red Wings game.
oh,
That gets people's attention. But
Especially because she pairs the San Jose with like her Red Wings hair bow and her red sneakers, and it's just a whole lot of
I like to
confusion.
keep them guessing.
Yeah.
You
You know
never
what? But
know.
if you're
What's
if
she
it's a
here
player
for?
or somebody that's there, I get why you would wear that. And I pull some of the older stuff out of very rando players. I'll sometimes wear to the rink just to see what people say.
Yeah.
I did find out one time. I can't remember who it was. It was a rando player, but much older. I was sitting way down low, and the radio people they always look for jerseys in the crowd. They called it out. Somebody
Oh,
texted me like, "Yeah,
nice.
you were just called out on the radio for the random jersey you're wearing."
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
So it's just that fun, and it's, I mean, all the little nuances and the fun pieces of the hobby, and especially be able to go to the games and wear those and show them off.
Well,
For
you
sure.
make it fun and certainly inviting to anyone who shows interest. So thank you for that. Before
Yeah.
we let you go about your business, will you tell our listeners where they can find Dirty Laundry Podcast?
Sure. No, you can get it across all the different streaming platforms, be it Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon. I think they're still running theirs. It's propagated out all over YouTube also if you want to watch the video version. Sometimes it's fun because we're showing particular things or describing the jerseys and that. Otherwise, I know a lot of people that I've actually had people reach out saying, I was almost crying in my car because you didn't have a show on Friday morning when I listened. Sometimes we have to change our schedule. And I actually had people reach out, and we always apologize for that. But they,
Oh,
on a normal schedule, they drop Friday morning across all the platforms. It is the Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey Podcast. You can find, we have a page on Facebook, soon to have a website up, thanks to Paul Rank. And then
nice.
again, Spotify and all that. Please, if you do go out, like, subscribe, all those things. And I will make sure on our show that we'll record on Thursday to plug this wonderful podcast as well. Put
Aw.
links to it in our show so we can send people back and forth.
We love that.
Sounds wonderful.
We'll
Yeah.
collaborate anytime you want. And if you want to check out Megan and I as podcaster newbies on Doc's show, you can check out, I think it's episode 169. And
Too
you'll have
high.
to go
Is it too
you'll
high?
have to go back a bit. No, it was.
Was
No,
No,
it?
I'm only
69?
in the 80s, so I know it's not that
just
high.
69.
It was
Yeah.
it was episode 69.
That's
Dirty
right, because
Laundry.
we made a joke of
Devon
that
and
during
Megan.
the podcast.
I mean, we have an explicit rating on our podcast preemptively, so
But no,
we can make
it
any
has
jokes
been,
you want.
it really has been an honor to come on there, and I know you guys have reached out asking for some tips and things like that, and it was funny when I was on the Migrate podcast, because I've had some people tell me, "Oh, you two, your podcasts are competitors." I'm like, "No, we're not. We're
No,
just
we're not.
part of." And I mentioned that right on the air, and the host, who's a fantastic guy, and we've also had him on ours, was kind of shocked about that. And I'm like, "Yeah, some people see it that way." I'm like, "I don't. We're a big happy family, and now you're part of it too."
Oh,
For
thank
sure.
Because we need more
Yay.
of these kind of things, and I love the coverage and the ideas you guys are bringing forth. So it's we'll all feed off each other and all make each other better.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for that. Anything we missed? Anything else you wanted to share before we let you go?
I think I've rambled quite enough. They don't call me Noyes for nothing.
No, that's cute.
That's
All right. Well, you must come back because you always keep us giggling, and we always learn something new. So
Yeah.
Hey,
for
I'm
sure.
good for something anyway.
much appreciated. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you on the next pod.
Thank you.
See
You as well.
later. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Jason has so much energy.
It's
I love it.
like the best to talk with him. I really enjoy all his stories, all the information he has. And really, that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you're interested in getting more into this game worn hobby, I can't recommend his podcast enough. It's just great to listen to, so much fun. And if you can watch, even better.
Mhm.
Yeah, can't say enough good things.
Yes, and I truly do appreciate how much he looks out for people who express interest. Like he wasn't kidding. If you're looking for your
Oh yeah.
first piece ever or your 500th piece or you want to spend $50 or 5,000, like he's always willing to help people out and he certainly found me some cool things. So he really is just as nice as he seemed.
Absolutely. He truly has reached out to me every time he has seen something Wade Megan to make sure I've got a shot at it. And I
Oh,
really appreciate that.
so do you have any stories about
Oh my
collecting
gosh.
you want to share?
So I had a fun thing I actually saw today um, that I thought was really interesting. The Carolina Hurricanes are a team that does do an auction of various things. Some of them are game worn, some of miscellaneous signed items, all sort of falling under the realm of like an authentic. They're usually
Yeah.
really small, but today they had a player's wives jacket. And let me tell you, someone posted it in the lovely ladies of the NHL for the Carolina Hurricanes. Um, it was going for more than most of the gamers recently. Like, I'm talking big price tag. And I was
Oh
so
my
proud of
gosh.
that.
Yeah.
Like, because it
That's
just kind of felt
awesome.
like the girl power connection. Like, they really were going for that jacket.
I've never heard of one of the wives or girlfriends listing their playoff jackets, but
Yeah, I don't know
I,
if it
I
was just,
think
when you could buy.
it's
I don't know if it
brilliant.
was worn by one of them, but I mean, what a great idea. Yeah, so
It's
good.
brilliant. They are so cute, and I would spend a lot of money to get one of the Team Sweden jackets from Four Nations. They were
Oh,
designed
yeah.
by Connor McDavid's girlfriend. She has a company, an atelier that does, all these designer sportswear pieces, mostly for the Edmonton Oilers. But she did Team Sweden's jackets, and they were like
That's so cool.
equestrian inspired, like
Oh,
dark navy gold buttons with
I
the
love it.
beautiful, yeah, tri crown. I know. So, yeah, I think we found a new market, Megan.
They
Good
really
work.
need to do more of that. Like it's going for a lot of money.
Oh, amazing. So we talked to Jason for a while. So what do you say?
Yes.
Let's jump into our hockey style tip of the day.
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. This one's kind of an interesting one. It sort of ties in with our game worn collecting idea here. If you're interested in dipping your toe into game worn collecting, Jason kind of mentioned it briefly, but they sell a lot of the things that the players use and wear. And one of those things is hoodies. So the hoodies that they might wear post game oftentimes are part of the game worn genre and are sold at a somewhat lesser price point, so it's a great way to jump in, and it's also something you can wear to a game. They're kind of fun. They're, a uniform hoodie that they often screen print the number on. So I have an example with me. I don't think you do too, Devon, but mine is just one of Svechnikov's from when he was on the Wings.
Ooh, pretty.
So
Is it a
yeah,
full zip?
it is actually a half zip. It's
A
really
half
cool. Let
zip.
me see if I can
Cute.
get it higher.
Yeah, that's oh yeah. Okay, that is definitely one of the cuter ones. I like the red
Yeah, this was
contrast zipper.
easily the best one. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a couple of
Did you
things,
bring one?
Megan.
Yay.
Well, I don't have that many. So one nice thing about the hoodies is if you just want one piece and you want to be able to wear it and it's something extra special, that's great. I know you like to collect them as part of a full set, so you can have
Yes, I
everything
consider
from a
it.
particular moment.
Yes, this is your kit from this season. Yes.
Yes, I just get what I can get my hands on from Lions past team. So I was able to find through a friend his first Flyers players hoodie. So
Oh, I like how
kind
they
of
do their
fun.
numbers. Is there a
Yeah,
little tiny logo in his 34?
it is a tiny. I don't know if you can see if you're
How
listening on
cute. Up a
YouTube
little
or
higher. Up a
watching on
little higher.
YouTube. If I don't know.
Yay! I can see it.
Yay. Okay.
So cute.
It's really cute. It does attract dog hair though, so that
Mm-hmm.
is the
That
bane of
year
my
did.
existence. And
Yes.
then one that you don't like, but I will show because it's timely and relevant for tonight's game, is his player t-shirt. I know you weren't a fan of the leopard print, I think. Was that it?
I just
Or
yeah,
just the in
that
general?
particular shirt. Yeah, I mean, shoot. I mean, that's fun though. Yeah.
Okay, so people listening to audio only, I will describe this was his Stanley Cup playoffs finals shirt when Florida was in the finals 22-23. So a very fun memory. And they did have these for sale, but they weren't exactly the same as the player hoodies. And a lot of times you'll find hoodies or shirts, if they don't have the number printed, the team will actually write the player's number on the tag. So in this case, you see the little 34.
Higher. Higher.
Um,
There
higher.
we go.
Okay. Sorry. If you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, you can see. Otherwise, know to look at the tag as a way to authenticate
Yeah, that interior neck tag.
the interior neck tag. Yes. And these are just a lot of fun when you can actually show up wearing something authentic to the game and cheer. Some people buy them and treat them like jerseys and don't want to touch them and handle them with gloves and put them up on shelves. But Megan and I say, hey, life is short. Wear the jersey, wear the shirt, enjoy your time. So that is our hockey style tip of the day. We know collecting feels like a lot, but it's also a lot of fun. So start as
For
big or as
sure.
little as you want. Reach out to us if you ever have questions about our collections, how we got started, or you're interested in a piece and want to, you know, bop it around, talk to us about our 2 cents. We would love to connect with you. So you can
Yes.
reach us again on Instagram at Hockey Style Podcast. And we hope you will like and subscribe to this podcast here, wherever you are listening. We will drop future episodes every Tuesday. So
Well,
please
Thursday, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh, every Thursday. Let's not put the
Please.
pressure on.
Please don't rush me.
Every Thursday, we will drop a new episode, and we hope you'll come back and be part of our fun community. And that's it. Anything you
Yeah,
wanted to add,
and
Megan?
all I have to say to leave this episode is if you are holding on to Evgeny Svechnikov or Wade Megan jerseys, please let me know.
That said, we'll see you next week.
Bye.